CEO Ian Ayre, our General Manager Mike Jacobs, and our new designated player Aké Loba. The way we're going to proceed today, we're going to ask them a couple of questions, and then we'll open the floor for questions for the media. We will begin with a question for our CEO Ian Ayre. What does it mean to finally get this signing? What does it mean for the club, and what does it mean for the city?
Well, I think we've been doing this a little while now, and I think it was when Mike and I and our owners talked right at the start of our journey in MLS. One of the things that we said was, we would build the roster gradually and thoughtfully, and Aké was somebody that even way back then, almost just as we were getting going, came on the radar, and unfortunately at that time we couldn't make that happen. And I think it's a great testament to Mike and his team and everyone involved that we stuck at it, we kept our powder dry to some degree, and here we are today with him sat between us. And I think that says a lot about being thoughtful and taking your chances at the right time rather than diving in when things don't work. And we'll feel very excited about having him here.
Thank you, Ian. Mike, it was 2 years that you have spent scouting Aké. What was that journey like, and what does it mean for you and the team to finally have him here?
It seems like it wasn't that long ago. We were sitting in a restaurant in Quetzal. We watched Aké play, and when the match was over, we visited together. And it was interesting that first match where Chance Myers, our chief scout, did a great job, him and his staff, about vetting candidates. And we went to watch Aké play live, and in our sport, it's not uncommon that players get rotated. And the match he went to, Aké didn't start. So we thought to ourselves, we flew away here, and the guy's not going to play. The team's down at the half. He comes on at halftime and scored 2 goals second half, and absolutely put the game, he turned it on its head. As we were watching, we saw the things he did on the ball, his clinical finishing, off the ball, his ability to run past players, and just felt he was like the ideal type of player, not only for our league, but for Gary's system. After visiting, spending time with him, we just kind of felt he was the right kind of person and character to be a foundational piece for our club.
Okay, welcome to the club. I'll ask you the question in English first, and then I'll ask it in Spanish. Why Nashville SC? Why Major League Soccer? And what are your initial thoughts of the club and the city so far? Bienvenido al club, Aké. ¿Por qué eliges Nashville SC en este momento en la Major League Soccer y cuáles son tus primeras impresiones del equipo?
Primero elegí Nashville porque la directiva me mostró su amor y me mostró que me querían de verdad. Porque hoy hace como 2 años que me buscaron, y cuando se presentó la oportunidad, ya no dudó de venir aquí y lo aproveché y aquí estoy.
First, I chose Nashville because of the staff, of the technical staff. They show the love, they show their appreciation for me. They have been scouting me for 2 years, so when the opportunity finally came to be, it was a no-brainer for me to take it. With that, we will now open the floor for questions. We will kick it off with Tim Sullivan with For Club and Country.
Mike, you mentioned that you believe Aké to be a great fit for Gary's system. What attributes of his game do you think are particularly good fits for playing in Gary's system?
Aké's ability to not only play as a 9, but we talk a lot about, all the players are looking for being versatile and flexible, being able to play a variety of different roles, but also in different systems. Where he's most comfortable playing maybe on the back shoulder, center backs, trying to get in behind. He's got tremendous pace, to deal with threat defenses. He can also play in front of a center back, as a traditional target. He can play off his center forward, like in a pair. He can play by himself as a lone 9. He can play on the left, come inside on his right foot. And, so I think he has that flexibility and versatility that we look for in players. But also, I think as you've seen, even our creative and dynamic attacking players like Randall, like Honey, we want guys who work on both sides of the ball. And you only have to see the game at CCL when he scored against Columbus. That all started with his ability to press the ball when it back and to create transitional actions. I just think the way he plays really fits what Gary looks for in players all over the field, specifically for attacking players.
Mike, it's good to see you again. I'm curious to know, you've been, obviously, you've mentioned that anecdote before in terms of the time when you got the chance to see Aké play in person with Chance. I'm curious to know, obviously that was with Querétaro. When he was with Monterrey, what continued that interest for you? What did you see in this past year that led you to want to obviously continue to work and bring him to Nashville?
What was interesting about the pursuit the first time around was we actually lost out. You know, we made a bid and Monterrey actually outbid us. You know, so it's not necessarily a situation where you pick and choose you want to do. It's to the highest bidder. And, you know, the fact that maybe we lost out in a primary target, where we looked at other alternatives, it was one of those things where we kind of always had hoped that it'd come around again. And when Minnesota had signed Reynoso, there was an article talking about their year-and-a-half pursuit, you know, of him. And I returned a chance and saying, it'd be amazing to think, you know, that we're talking about a story like that for Aké. You know, maybe like if the story hadn't been written yet for us. And the fact that, you know, I connected with Dulio Divino, the sporting director of Monterrey, made sure he knew of our interest in Aké. And, you know, it was almost kind of like, okay, at any point, you think of maybe moving on or potential of selling him, we would love to talk to you and explore that. And I think that opportunity came around a second time. You know, really, I have to give a lot of credit to both Ian and to our ownership with John Ingram of having the confidence and faith in us identifying the right player, as well as the ability to invest and commit to do what we had to do to secure a signature.
Ian, when we talked at the Elizabeth Park the other day, you mentioned that you were looking for something, doing something. You know, we never thought. I mean, honestly, I didn't even think that you were going to go and get a guy like Aké from a powerhouse like Monterrey, Mexico. To be honest with you. Now, how difficult was for you the election of such a good player, and also dealing with a team like Monterrey?
Look, I think you know, when we started out, you know, we're hugely ambitious for Nashville. I think one of the things that people have been complimentary about is the way we've gone about our business generally in the last year and a half. And you know, whether we're dealing with Monterrey or anyone else, I think the deals are kind of always the same. You know, whether it's, you know, between Mike and I, we have a lot of experience across lots of leagues and lots of countries and lots of players. The deals are always kind of the same. I think you have to be respectful of the three parties, the player and his agent, you know, ourselves, and then the club you're buying from. And I think we were very fortunate last night to have dinner with Aké and his agent, and you know, it was a great sort of get together. And I think it spoke volumes of the way we go about our business. We've said at this soccer club that we want to be respectful and be respected, and sometimes that's difficult when you're in the heat of a negotiation. But if you do it in the right way, and it's you know, Monterrey is a very established and well-known club, and I think the people at Monterrey, the agents, Aké, everybody felt good, including ourselves, about the process. And I think as long as we operate in that way as we go forward, you know, we've had to be tough in this process at times, and it's a bit of a game as always, but we feel very, very pleased with the outcome.
Yeah, Aké, first of all, welcome to Nashville. I know you've played against like Columbus and CCL, but what have been your past experiences with MLS, and what about the league makes you think that it's a good fit for you right now?
Aké, bienvenido a la Major League Soccer. Tú has tenido la oportunidad de jugar contra Columbus Crew, pero ¿qué es lo que ves en la MLS que te cita para decir vengo a jugar esta liga?
Primero, creo que la MLS es un campeonato que está bien, que casi todos los jugadores internacionales vienen a jugar aquí, pero creo que es una liga intenso que exige mucho esfuerzo, y de verdad si el partido contra Columbus fue un buen partido para mí y para el equipo, porque jugamos afuera y sacamos un punto, pero vi el equipo muy bien, y así que entendí que este campeonato es un campeonato de verdad que me puede aportar mucho.
Thank you. First, I think that Major League Soccer is a league that is very competitive and respected. Many international players come and play here. It's very intense, requires a lot of effort on the field. When we played Columbus Crew, it was a very good game for Monterrey. We were able to get points out of that game. But it gave me the opportunity to see how competitive the league is and how established for me to to then decide to come over.
Ian, you have talked a lot about how you want this club to represent Nashville. How does a signing like Aké help kind of take that project to the next level and show that you're kind of putting your money where your mouth is?
Yeah, I think for me, in some ways, it's similar to the journey we saw in USL, where we gradually approached it. You know, and I said that earlier, that, you know, I think it's impossible. It's my first time at an expansion club, so I would imagine it's kind of impossible to put all of the pieces of the jigsaw together in one go. And you know, we were very clear, our owner John Ingram and the board were very clear at the start that the support would be there, the investment would be there for the right opportunities. And I think, you know, we did some fantastic work in the last 18 months in building the roster we already have prior to this signing. But we've always been conscious that we would keep adding and keep developing and changing some pieces out. And I think this is a big step forward. It's, you know, it's obviously our biggest signing and a designated player, but I think it doesn't stop here. You know, we'll keep assessing the squad, we'll keep assessing the opportunities, and we'll keep moving the pieces around the board, really. But I think it says a lot about the ambition of the club. I think if you look at the start we've had, look at the season we had last year, look at the start we've had this year, and adding somebody like Aké at this point in the season, which is fantastic, gives us a chance to make another step forward. And that's not to put any more pressure than is already on everybody every game, but I think it shows real ambition, and you know, I think he'll fit well into the group, and I think everyone, including our fans, will be excited to see him come out and join this group.
Kendra, go ahead.
Yeah, for Ian or Mike, kind of along those same lines, if I think you guys can go third in the East tonight, and the success from last year and now spilling into this year, has that sped up the timetable for the investment, for adding what you wanted to say, hey, this could be possible sooner than you may have thought?
Well, Mike can answer as well. I think for me, we'll never make a signing on the basis of, you know, where we are in the table today, or we'll make our signings based on really well thought through hard work and opportunity, and this was a combination of both the hard work that Mike and his team put in continuing to look not just at Aké, at other opportunities, and always saying that when the right opportunity rises up, we'll go to the well and we'll dig deep and we'll find what we need to get our man. And that's what happened here. But it happened because of opportunity rather than league position. But our ambition will always be there. It's just about, you know, does the right player or the right opportunities present themselves? And if they do, and as Mike said, you know, again, both of us have experience of this, and sometimes you just don't get what you want, and it's not because you don't try hard enough or put enough money on the table. Sometimes it's just the way it is. But I'm really pleased that this is a great example of keeping at it and keeping, you know, we could have gone in a different direction in the last 18 months or 2 years, and we'd certainly looked at lots of those other opportunities and you know, never felt that anything was quite right, and here we are with getting what we wanted.
Look, it's a process, and you know, for us, we're always evaluating the players that we have. You know, our goal from the very beginning was to be as competitive as possible in the match we were playing. And you know, I had a friend today reference the fact that, you know, the win today, you know, joint second in points, and you know, so I absolutely appreciate that. But you know, I couldn't tell you who was second place last year after 12 games. You know, so I mean, the reality is, you know, I think we just keep moving along, and as Ian said, I think we keep not only evaluating the pieces we have, but keep adding where they're needed. You know, and it's an ongoing process of us evaluating our group, and adding Aké was the right time. And I think for us, it's important to make sure that not just that Ian and I win poker faces, but I think that we can remain calm, not get too high when we win, and not get too low when we lose, because it's still very, very early in the season.
Right.
Yeah, a two-part question. First for Aké and then for Mike. Aké, you were at a club that is very competitive and cutthroat, and Nashville in its own right, in your position, is also very competitive. Do you have a chip on your shoulder or an approach to what you want to prove now that you're here?
Aké dice que en el carácter en el que estabas en Monterrey de competitivo, singularmente aquí en Nashville SC, en tu posición en particular, es una posición que también tiene competición motivación. ¿Tienes alguna motivación que digas, esto es lo que vengo a probar o a demostrar?
El fútbol es lo que es, ¿no? Aquí no se trata de demostrar lo que somos, pero aportar lo que tenemos al equipo, ¿no? Así que vengo a aportar lo que puedo hacer para que crezca el equipo y para que crezcan mis compañeros también, porque uno no puede hacer todo, así que juntos vamos a hacer muchas cosas bien y lograr muchas cosas.
Gracias. Soccer is what it is. I'm not coming here to prove myself. I'm coming here to contribute to the team. I want to grow with the team. It's not about what I can do or what one player can do. It's about what we can do together and collectively as a unit.
And my second question for you, Mike, is obviously he's going to you're bringing in an international player, and obviously a part of that news was trading with Portland for the international spot. I'm curious to know maybe any correlation between obviously the business that the club did in the offseason, and you were talking about flipping green cards and obviously bringing in obviously some resources by giving away some of those international spots. Did you feel that maybe took away from maybe the skepticism in terms of the price that was paid to bring that international spot with Portland, or is that just something completely unrelated?
Look, the price for the international spot, the market value dictates that. We don't dictate it, Portland's dictate it. The reality is, with COVID making it harder for teams to flip green cards this summer versus years past, someone like Randall Leal, who has everything set to get a green card, but we just can't get an appointment, at the embassy in Costa Rica. We're not the only team, not only in Costa Rica, with other embassies and other nations having the same issue. So I talked to other general managers around the league. I think the feeling was that the market was dictating an increase in the price for international spots during the summer. For what it's worth, not only was the last international spot before we purchased one also sold at $230,000, I actually had another team try to hold it under. I asked for $300,000 for an international spot. So for us, we also were in a situation where, it took us all the time on our staff at the exercise. I've talked in the past about, Ian's talked about when he signed Firmino at Liverpool, people saying he paid too much money. Now no one says that. For us, the exercise was get Aké sorted out, whatever way they did. So the fact that we were able to get an international spot, maybe it was a little more than last summer, but right at market value, I felt good about the fact that we didn't get our pants pulled down. But I also feel good about the fact that the exercise was getting him sorted out and have him sitting here. And we wouldn't have gotten that done if we didn't do the international spot.
We have time for one more question. Gentry, go for it.
For Aké, knowing the interest.
Estos últimos 2 años, ¿has seguido al equipo? ¿Conoces a los jugadores? ¿Conoces al equipo en sí?
Creo que no conozco a cada jugador, pero cuando estaba allá sí investigué mucho y sé que hay muchos talentos aquí y respeto a cada jugador, pero cuando llegué fue impresionante la bienvenida que me dieron, son jugadores increíbles y creo que vamos a entendernos muy bien.
I obviously don't know every single player deeply, but I've been following the team in the past 2 years. It has a lot of talent within it. The most important part when I arrived, everybody gave me a great welcome, which made me feel a part of them, and I believe it's going to be a great unit that's moving forward. Thank you everybody for the questions. We're gonna actually proceed to do a little photo opportunity.